Hey, all my Aquarius friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your March 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Aquarius, I'm talking about Aquarius rising. This is also applicable to Aquarius moon, Aquarius sun. And if you have 3 or more personal planets in the sign of Aquarius, this would also be applicable to you. These videos are based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. And I finally want to say that if you are familiar with astrology and the house systems, and you have a late degree Aquarius rising, you might want to look at this in Placidus because that would actually make Pisces predominantly your first house potentially. And I think this is a significant difference between whole sign and Placidus. All right, let's jump in. The beginning of the month starts off almost as a continuation of last month with a conversation between Mercury, the Sun, and Saturn. Pisces happens to be your 12th, second house, excuse me. This is, for my Aquariuses, this is Saturn having a conversation about, how much do you connect with your oversoul, with your higher power, with the genius within you, when it comes to your skills, when it comes to your talents, when it comes to your gifts. The second house by nature is Taurus, which is a very creative house, as well as Pisces being a very creative house. Taurus rules the voice, it rules our skills, it rules food. So we could infer it rules singing, it rules chefs, it rules musicians, it rules people who use their gifts and their talents to create resources. Now we have Pisces, which also rules creativity in the form of song and poetry and dance and things that are fanciful and whimsical and actually make us feel good about life. Pisces can want to swim away from the harsh realities of life. And with Saturn in this house of your second house, it's asking you to build structure with your creativity, with your spirituality, meaning this when I talk about your spirituality. Your spirituality is a connection to the bigger part of your soul that knows that everything you want is possible, that anything that you can focus on, you can create within the physical realm, but it will defy the odds of human structure. And it may feel a little cray-cray to some people. And that's sometimes the challenge of being an Aquarius is you're so forward thinking, you're so innovative and genius that the average human doesn't know how to really comprehend the things that are going on inside of your mind. So here, I think this is a really powerful conversation about your self-talk, about your thoughts, and not trying to stop thoughts that don't serve you, but rather understanding that we all have a human imprint. And now are my thoughts and my speech serving how I want to assert myself out into the universe? And am I allowing my history to be a platform of strength and allowing my fears to be converted from things that paralyze me to actually things that compel me to move forward? We see Mars and Venus having a conversation in your first house. This is, again, a continuation of a conversation they were having in February. And, Mars is now, to me, looking to be brave, looking to create a hero energy. And sometimes a hero energy is disruptive to the masses. And then Venus rules your skills, your talents. And again, this plays right back to the Taurus energy. Now, right now, these two houses are in conflict. But in general, we have to know that while Venus is in a square here to the natural house that she rules, this doesn't mean she's abandoned this house. This means that what she's doing is she's kind of looking to the future and looking to the past at the same time and differentiating between the two. For Aquarius, the fourth house is Taurus. So here, there's the potential of you having some kind of realization, epiphany, revelation based on your current belief system, but that belief system is a platform for something new to happen. And that feels like while it feels initially a little bit in conflict because I have to assert myself, and I have to assert myself in ways that are not natural to what I have been doing, I also have a great opportunity to start to capitalize on my talents, on my gifts, on the things that make me unique and individualistic. So let's move on to the 10th, which is a pretty significant day as we have a new moon. And we see that Mercury has moved into Aries. Mercury in Aries is really, taking those bits of information and applying them to the self. How do I move myself forward? How do I pioneer through new territory? And we're going to see that while right now we're at 12 o'clock, earlier that day we had a new moon. Let me pop over to the new moon at 1 a.m. on the 10th. Because this to me is very significant as it is the 5th new moon at the 20th degree. So last month we had a 20-degree new moon in your first house. Now we have a new moon in your second house of creativity, of your talents, your skills, your voice, as well as this transformational 20th degree, offering you an opportunity to actually capitalize on that which has been, what has been historic. Meaning, sometimes the dark spots make the color pop. If we think about fear and when we overcome our fears, it's extremely exhilarating. It's very powerful as the individual. So for me, this is planting the seeds for your empowerment, for the birthing of the unique genius within you, and using your willingness to take Saturn's energy and be like, you know what? I'm in it to win it for the long haul. I'm not in a hurry. And Pluto moving through your first house is extremely significant. Those of you that are early born Aquarians or early rising Aquarians are going to have already felt this energy a little bit back in 2023. It's going to move forward a bit more, and then it's going to retrograde in the fall this year back into the last degree of Capricorn before settling into your first house for the next 20 years. This is going to offer you an opportunity to really transform your life. And to me, this is about capitalizing on the futuristic dynamics, the technology, the science, the collective consciousness that Aquarius represents. I also want to say that I feel like technology itself is going to take a big leap. And as Pluto moves through your first house for the next 20 years, you may realize that, wow, the things that have created my wealth and abundance were things that were not even invented when I conceived certain notions about what I want, how I want to birth my life. For instance, me as Teri, I wanted to be a spiritual teacher, to use astrology and the tarot and the, divine laws of the universe to empower people. And it wasn't until technology invented YouTube that I was able to truly expand my reach. So that could very much be happening. And as you plant the seeds in this dark of night, you're not just planting the seeds for what you want to experience on a physical level, you're also planting the seeds for what you want to experience on an emotional level. We're going to have a lunar eclipse at the end of this month, which is extremely significant for us all in the first of the year. Let's go on to the 12th. And move this back to 12 p.m. This is where we're going to see Venus has entered her exaltation of Pisces. When a planet enters its exaltation, it is a revered guest, an honored guest, celebrations, overflow. And here, while normally Venus is very dreamy in Pisces, I believe that as she entered this year and went through Capricorn and then, reinventing herself and her ideas through the Aquarius energy, now that she's in your second house, she's going to have a summit with Saturn. These two planets are going to come closer and closer together. And here, normally we think of this as a restriction of the femininity, maybe a limitation. Here, it feels like Venus is saying to Saturn, teach me what I need to know to grow my skills. Saturn ruled the golden age. He taught man about agriculture. He gave man many tools to create ease and abundance. And here Venus is willing to say, I want to do the hard work right now. I want to not only do the hard work of believing in myself and my talents, but I also want to create something sustainable for my future. And that's what I think Pluto is doing for you in your first house. So this is going to become extremely potent in its energy. The second house is naturally a house where we feel our value. So this is important. And we're heading towards the great conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus in April. And that's very significant because I don't know that any of us can really predict how this will play out. And yet at the same time, I think as we're setting certain intentions and connecting to our divine power, whether you call it God, the universe, source energy, it's all, the focus is going to create something that could potentially be magical and revolutionary. Let's go to the 20th, where we see now the sun has entered its exaltation. The sun ruling the zodiac, the sun representing, the king. And here in the sign of Aries, it's in the house of its highest general, its most revered military compadre. And I really believe that now, as we see Venus is in even a tighter conjunction with Saturn, looking to really have this conversation. She's gaining knowledge, she's gaining skills, she's learning how her history works for her instead of tethering her to something that feels uncomfortable. Now, as the sun moves into the sign of the individual, the self, the head, no less, we're going to see the sun getting into a closer and closer conjunction with the North Node, which will make me ravenous to transform my wound into a gift, to transform my individuality into something that serves me versus makes me feel alien or unacceptable. We do see this Mercury Chiron conjunction at the Virgonian degree, which can be a little bit rough here as we begin the springtime. And at the same time, I feel like this is an illumination of the thoughts that have enslaved me and the self-talk that perpetuates that. So I think this is very powerful. Let's now go to the 22nd, where we will see Mars enter Pisces. I'm going to actually go to the 23rd. There we go. Now I want to offer this because most astrologers think that when Mars enters Pisces, it sort of dampens the energy. And that can be very true for the unconscious. And yet at the same time, I believe those that have been walking in greater and greater levels of awareness are starting to transform Mars into the hero, into the pioneer, into the peaceful warrior, the competitor who wants to compete with himself, to test his own skills, to see what he can do. And as he moves into Pisces, I believe we're getting stronger and stronger in this sort of energy of Mr. Miyagi and Danielson. Mr. Miyagi having Mars do somewhat repetitive things, but at the same time, Mars is building skills. And in very much the same way that Saturn was having a conversation with Venus about what do you believe? The hardest part of this venture with you is believing in yourself and knowing that your individuality will be palatable to the audience, whatever that audience is. You will draw them to you. It's a natural law of the universe. Saturn is evolving into an energy where he understands that his own actions created some of his paranoia, some of his darker sides. And now he's willing to look at them and then be the teacher that time has to offer us. And here, Mars is becoming a warrior that's more intentional, understanding the time in meditation and in solitude that regenerates and rejuvenates in order to move forward again. Let's look at our first lunar eclipse of the season. This is super, super powerful. Let me get to the exact time, which is going to be 12 a.m. Pacific time. And this full moon lunar eclipse is at 5 degrees of Libra, 7 minutes, and it is conjunct the supergalactic center, which is part of the Shapley cluster. The supergalactic center is at 2 degrees, 22 minutes of Libra. it has a 5 to 10 degree orb. So if you have any personal planets, including your nodal structure, your rising, within that 5 to 10 degree orb of 2 degrees of Libra, this full moon lunar eclipse is going to be very powerful for you because it's going to illuminate something about your relationship with yourself. Now, we often think of Aquarius because they're so futuristic, and that genius energy doesn't always emote. You know, it skips over the emotion, and yet at the same time, Aquarius, you are inhabiting a human experience. So how do you have this relationship with yourself, and is it in alignment with what you want to experience in the way of, you know, hopes and dreams? The Aquarius energy is a house that rewards over time, co-ruled by Saturn. And so that Saturn energy is really, to me, it's keeping the Uranus from jumping so far forward so fast that it doesn't realize that there is an underlayer, an unconscious layer of believability. And I believe that this full moon is going to start to illuminate how important things are to your heart. This 5 degree is the Leo degree. This is about courage. This is about trusting a bigger picture of your own talents and skills. And I really think that as we move into April and we experience the solar eclipse, it's going to support the illuminations that you've had during this eclipse. We do see that the moon is making a square and a half to Uranus, but this is a challenging aspect. So there could be a bit of anxiety about, you know, potential shifts or changes or an underbelly of something emotionally, historic something. Now we see the moon is making a favorable aspect to Pluto. And to me, this is, you know, here at your the first degree of your first house. And this is the glimpse into what can be when you go into an emotional place and you trust an intuitive knowing versus your eyes or your ears or your nose or your mouth. Now let's go just for to the end of the month. We'll go around the 29th. And I'm coming here because we are starting to see a large stellium clustering within the Pisces, Aries, and Taurus energy. And that's going to continue on through April and May, and then into June as Jupiter moves into Gemini. And that's going to be fairly significant change. And I think that as Jupiter moves into Gemini in June, we're going to feel, or we're going to start to root into our everyday experiences, whatever your personal epiphany, your personal unexpected revolution happened here in April. But it's a ramp up. So you're really kind of feeling a sense of unavoidable change. And I want to say this for Aquarius. I didn't mention this and I should have. I was remiss. Libra is your 9th house. The 9th house is naturally ruled by Sagittarius. This is a house of business, commerce, expansion, foreign people, foreign travel, foreign places, philosophies, higher education. Now we imprint the Libra energy of balance, of harmony, of partnership. And that this full moon lunar eclipse is, are you in partnership with your belief system? Are you in partnership with your own ability to create and expand your resources through business and commerce and publishing and being out there more in the public eye, is the way I want to put it. So that is it for my Aquariuses for March 2024. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. I'm starting to feel like a revolutionary astrologer because I'm really trying to focus on the reward side of these planets instead of anchoring me into this tethered, almost feels like a ball and chain of a lower vibration of the planets when I've been working so diligently on my awareness, how the darkness makes the light pop. The dark spots make the color pop. All right, Aquarius, I will see you in April. Have a lovely, lovely March, and may the force be with you.